Cleaver is the only hero you get at the absolute star rank, and he has the highest base power of any hero in the game. If it weren't for Astaroth's amazing support kit, Cleaver would be the undisputed best tank in the current meta, so he comes in at number 2 currently.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, Heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, I want to compare and contrast the poster boy of Hero Wars, Galahad, the first hero that you get day one, with the legendary superhero Cleaver, who you probably don't even have yet. Let's get into it. So, first of all, you get Galahad at 1 star just for starting the game. And you get him, you got 10 soul stones into him, that's fantastic. You get Cleaver from the heroic chest, and that's the daily chest that you can have one crack at every single day. You can spend some emeralds to open additional chances to getting Cleaver and other heroes out of the chest. It's generally not recommended to spend the emeralds, as the chance doesn't really increase by doing that. You're just adding emeralds to the or paying emeralds for no good reason at times. The drop rate's pretty poor. The question is how do they compare? How do they contrast? What is going on between these two? And I like to pair these two together because they're both physical tanks. They're both they both fit similar roles. They both have similar skills, and I'll get to all that in just a second. But you can see here, Galahad 1 star at level 1, 237 power. Cleaver at absolute star level 1, 993 power. Power isn't everything. Let's get that out of the way. Power level doesn't mean anything. If you have a properly built, well-synergized team, that will always outperform a much higher power level team that isn't put together very well. Taking a look at level 50, we have Galahad at 1 star still, 1585. Cleaver at absolute star is 7,731. This is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, showing off the power of having an absolute star hero early. And that is, in my opinion, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. In my opinion, the only thing Cleaver has going for him, aside from the cool synergies that he has, just like every hero has, including Galahad, the only thing that Cleaver has going for him is if you can get him early and you don't have any other heroes at absolute star yet, then he becomes an effective main tank. And let's contrast the max stats on Galahad, and then we'll talk briefly about, on mobile, and then we'll talk briefly about the Facebook version of the game. Here we have a screen grab of maxed Galahad and maxed Cleaver. I'm not going to show you the power levels because literally the power level do not matter. I don't care what the quote said at the top of this video. Power levels do not matter. You can see that the main tank stats, armor, we're very close. We're very close. Galahad has 28,490. Cleaver has 28,471. Interesting. Magic defense. Galahad 15,316 compared to 15,320. 4 points of magic defense difference. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the health. Cleaver does have Galahad beat in health at 644,196 compared to Galahad's 624,262. It's about 20k more health, but Cleaver does have a violent ability that flat out increases his strength, which increases his health. So that's the only reason why. Vampirism, Cleaver has 10% higher vampirism than Galahad does. They both have a little bit of self heal, and the other stats really don't matter as much. Intelligence and agility don't really matter. Galahad has less strength than Cleaver because that violent ability that Cleaver has. We'll talk about skills later. Physical attack are pretty comparable. Galahad has slightly less physical attack at 33,570 compared to 34,101. So roughly 400 physical attack less. As you can see, stats as tanks, pretty comparable. Let's take a brief second here and show side-by-side maxed Facebook. I'm not going to go through this, but just know that the similarities between the two are very, very close to what we just discussed on the mobile platform. You can pause this and go through each point, each armor and magic defense and all that if you want, but I don't think it's that important. All right, so now that we've gone over the basic stats of both Cleaver and Galahad, I want to discuss the differences as far as skills and other tertiary things are involved. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Neither one of these heroes provide much to your team in the way of a tank, that is somebody that defends your team outside of merely standing in front of your team. Now, Galahad is a little bit less effective than Cleaver. Cleaver does have this, his artifact weapon is armor, but as far as skills are concerned, neither Cleaver nor Galahad provide any tanking abilities. Heroes like Ziri has a provoke. You have Rufus with the magical shield. You have Astaroth with his revive and his damage link ability. So aside from the artifact weapon, which is armor on Cleaver and physical attack on Galahad, there is really no benefit to using them as a tank in the traditional sense of the role tank. Now that being said, both heroes have fantastic teams to build around. Galahad is seen a lot in crit heavy Kira teams, for example, and you'll often see Cleaver with Peppy and a number of different variants. But let's talk about the skills. So Cleaver is bringing a lot of utility to the team with the Rusty Hook, and this grabs the rearmost rearmost enemy, pulls them forward, reorganizing the enemy team. And the reason why he likes having all of the enemy grouped up right next to him is both his putrefaction ability, which does pure damage to the front line, to the enemy front line, as well as himself, but also mutilation. This is an area of effect attack to the enemies directly in front of him. That's also a stun. So a lot of frontline area of effect damage using his hook to get there. His heavyweight ability is just a pure bonus to strength, which is health and physical attack. Good all around survivability ability. Galad, on the other hand, he's got Iron Skies, which, as we all know, does a mass amount of area of effect damage. He has his Charge Forward, which is a different control, a different kind of control effect, a different kind of organizing effect. Sometimes it pushes the enemy tank back. Often it doesn't. We have Retaliation, which hits the enemy with the lowest health. And then we have Haroon's Pride, which deals extra pure damage, which contributes to obviously vampirism and everything else. So when it comes down to skills, both heroes have some area of effect damage. Both heroes have a little bit of control. Cleaver does the hook and his stun with mutilation, whereas Galahad does his unstoppable charge, which removes control effects. They both have a little bit of self heal. They both, we've already gone over their survivability stats earlier. But Galahad is a little bit less of a pure tank than Cleaver is. Galahad can be countered more effectively with Jorgen. There are some great counters to Cleaver, but they're not as accessible. So just as a quick skill explainer, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the important things that you need to take into account when you're trying to decide specifically between these two heroes as a tank for your team. There are a couple considerations that you need to make, and they're not nothing, but some of them are really important. First and foremost, Cleaver. Getting Cleaver out of the heroic chest as a random drop, as a random reward, it's way too random to be counted on for an endgame build. Way too random. So if you're trying to build 3 teams for a Grand Arena and you don't have Cleaver yet, you potentially have to plan for a team that doesn't use Cleaver. And, as we know, often is the case that if your team isn't 100% synergistic with itself, all 5 heroes, then you're not going to be effective. So, do you build a team of 4 heroes for the day that you get Cleaver? Some people get Cleaver in the first month. Some people get Cleaver, years later. There are people on my and my subscribers that watched my live stream earlier that have not gotten Cleaver on any of their accounts, and they've been playing for 3 or more years. All right. So contrast that, and we'll briefly touch on the absolute star effectiveness. If you get Cleaver early, it's very effective to have him. It's very effective. Galahad starts with 1 star, which means he starts with 10 stones. You need 630 total to get a hero to 6 stars. 630, minus 10 is 620. It takes 120 energy per day to farm Galahad's 3 Hero Soulstone missions. So if you average 1 stone per day for 3, for each of the 3 missions, which is, maybe it's a little below average, maybe it's a little above average, depending on your luck. Averaging 3 stones per day means it's going to take 207 days to get absolute star for a Galahad. And that's going to require 24,840 energy. Now that's a lot of energy to spend trying to get one hero, your tank, to absolute star. And you might just say, well, at 24,840 energy, that's going to be wasted if I pull if I pull Cleaver anywhere in there. Well, yes and no. You are farming for those soul stones, but you're also farming for some equipment that you could be using elsewhere. 120 energy in the grand scheme of your daily expenditure isn't that much. You still have, double or triple that each day to spend just from collecting the 3 energy daily tasks per day and the normal leveling up. So then another point is, you get Cleaver early, great, use Cleaver. What if you get Cleaver really late? What if you're a year player or you're a 2-year player? Maybe you're focusing on your third team and you just get Cleaver. Do you stop what you're doing and throw all of your resources into Cleaver? Do you how much resources do you need to throw into a tank hero to make them effective? Do you need 40,000 power? Do you need 50,000 power? Do you need 100,000 power? At what point do they become effective in-game tanks? And getting Cleaver really late means that it's going to be that much longer for you to really have enough time and money invested in him to really be effective. So through the live stream today, we talked about, how it's nice to have, but not really necessary. And in fact, we've got so many great tanks in here that you don't need Cleaver. You don't need Cleaver. And I think he's highly overrated. And when, as you can see, when we compare stats and skills and all of that, you're going to be just fine without Cleaver. If you get him early, go ahead and use him. Build a team around him. Maybe collect them all. That's what I'm doing. But ultimately, I don't like Cleaver. I don't like the whole thing about Cleaver. It's a nice thing to chase, but I think too many people are going to get Cleaver and then quit the game. I've collected all the heroes. That's it. On screen now, I'm going to post a couple of videos that I think you as a player might find helpful. I'm going to talk about, the math behind Cleaver, as far as how to get them, at least on mobile, and then I'm going to post 2 more videos discussing Cleaver and other tertiary things having to do with him, because I think that they might be interesting to you if you are interested in hearing more about the legendary superhero Cleaver. So check those videos out if you'd like, if you've got the time. If not, I completely understand. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.